Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another mini lesson on writing. So today we are going to establish our problem. Remember yesterday you started your first page and I wrote a lot here. I left off with, he loves everything about his school except for one thing. And we know the one thing Matt doesn't like is writing, and that's going to be our problem. So today I want you to take what you wrote in box 2. You can change it around a little bit if you don't love what you wrote before, or maybe you have a different idea. That's okay. But I want you to introduce the problem. And you're going to try to bring your story to life by using feelings and the senses. And I'm going to show you a little bit how to do that and give you a little strategy that I use in the classroom. So you probably noticed writing is a challenge. And as parents, I'm sure that you are helping your children write, and that's a good thing. Writing is one of the last things that come to a student. So first graders really can struggle with writing, and that's totally normal. It's the last thing. It's tough. They have these great ideas, and I know our class has so many awesome ideas that they can talk about, but when it comes to putting it on paper, they struggle. So one thing I do, and I hope that you are helping your child, I want you to help them. The more you help them now and the more they practice as they go along, you'll have to help less and less and less. So maybe you're going to provide a lot of support in the beginning, and that's okay, but keep on practicing, and that's how we get better. So remember, we said Matt hates writing. Okay. Now your child's probably saying, that's it. I established my problem. And then you will encourage them like, why does he hate writing? We have to have another sentence here. We have to bring our story to life. And your child may start rattling different ideas off, like because his hand really hurts, and the teacher doesn't let him write about anything fun, because he wants to use a computer, but Mr. K says he always has to do a rough draft on paper. And your child may have all these ideas. You take one of those ideas and say, oh, that's great. Let's go with, he doesn't get to write about anything fun. So you take the sentence that your child said, and then you just draw lines. He doesn't get to write about anything fun. Period. All right. Now your child has to fill in that sentence. You may also take it a step further and fill in some of the more challenging words. Remember, certain words you shouldn't expect them to be able to spell or write. Maybe you can ask them to give you the first letter, maybe ask them to give you the vowel, but a word like doesn't is going to be a tough one. It's a contraction. You might just want to write that one in. Maybe ask for the first letter. So he doesn't get to write about anything fun. Anything would probably be another tough one. So maybe you would write that one in. Remember our first grade sight words. So he is a sight word. Your child should be able to get that word, or try anyway. He doesn't, and get, we can stretch that one out. He doesn't get to, another sight word. He doesn't get to, and then the word write, you might have to help with that silent W. Or if your child writes the word write, R-I-T-E, that's totally fine. That's showing me your child knows the magic E pattern, and actually that can be encouraging. So write about is another sight word that your child might be able to get. Anything, and then fun is a word that they can stretch out. So if you make the lines, fill in the more challenging words, and support your child that way, and encourage them to do the best that they can. Don't get discouraged. They might just want to give up. Try your best to let them practice, and you know what to expect from your child, and don't let it frustrate you. Don't expect them to be writing long stories and sitting there and writing for long periods of time. They're still only in first grade. So this is one strategy I use in the classroom. I encourage you to try it out if you're looking for ways to help, instead of, maybe just doing it for that or telling them what to write. Try this way out if you would like. That was just one strategy I wanted to share with you. So let's reread it, because that's what we're always doing when we write. Matt hates writing. He doesn't get to write about anything fun. Awesome. I've established my problem. I'm going to bring my story to life a little bit by using my senses. And remember, our senses are seeing, hearing, tasting, feeling, and smelling. So maybe smell will be important in your story. Maybe it has to do with food. Maybe you even smell the cold air, smell the rain if you're outside. In my story, smell isn't going to be important, but maybe in yours it will be. I'm in the classroom, so smell's not really something I could use. What about the sound? Well, if your story's outside, maybe you would hear the rumble of thunder. Ooh, that sounds like a great way to describe something and bring your story to life. The sound that I'm going to use, because remember, when we would transition, I would always ring the bell. So maybe I'll use that. So when Mr. K rings the bell, and what would I do? I would say, it's time to write, or take out your writing folders. When Mr. K rings the bell and says, so some of you have done this already and added dialogue. Take out your writing folders, because remember, that's something I would say in the classroom. You can make your characters talk, and that would help your story come to life. Don't worry about the quotation marks, because we haven't studied much of that, so you can help by just putting those in. Or if your child doesn't know how to use them, don't worry about it. Still encourage them to make the characters talk. We can get to the point where we teach them how to use those quotation marks. Some of the children probably do know how, but don't worry about it. So when Mr. K rings the bell and says, take out your writing folders, Matt, and now I'm going to use that feeling word, Matt starts to feel. And to help me, I'm going to go to this list. We have anxious. That's how Matt's feeling. Anxious. What a great word to use. What else is Matt feeling? He's kind of scared a little bit. Ooh, uneasy. That's how he starts to feel. Remember, he gets sweaty and nervous. So Matt starts to feel anxious. I'm using 2 of the words from that sheet. Maybe you could find one to use. I encourage you to try to use one of those feeling words. Try to use one of the senses to bring your story to life. I use the sense of hearing, so that sound of the bell. When Mr. K rings the bell and says, take out your writing folders, Matt starts to feel anxious and uneasy. And we know why, because he hates writing. Now our problem is established, and I'm starting to develop it even more. So I encourage you to try this strategy out. Please help your child write. Writing is one of the more difficult things for a first grader, so I understand completely. And good luck and happy writing.